Hey, Disney. You missed one. What's up and welcome back. I'm John Stark from MacMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic. And today, we're taking a look at the 30th anniversary of Angels in the Outfield, which is available on Disney Plus. Finally, after a while of not being on Disney Plus. Believe it or not all Disney titles are on Disney Plus, but Angels in the Outfield was added in July, sadly, without audio description. Shocking. They've had all this time to prepare for the launch of Angels in the Outfield, a movie that's been around for 30 years, and they couldn't put it out with audio description. Now, Disney's actually pretty good about audio description. They have it on a lot of like really obscure Disney Channel original movies. I don't know, how that values them, but they do kind of make weird choices. Like Big City Greens, the series is listed as having some audio description, but the movie is not. Something I pointed out in my review. Um, I'm doing anniversaries. This is fair game. I'm doing anniversary releases, and Angels in the Outfield is turning 30 this year. So let's talk about it. First, I want to introduce myself to my largely blind audience, although I love sighted people too. I used to be one. So, welcome, Kimosabe. I don't know why. What a weird film to throw Kimosabe in there for Angels in the Outfield. Um, I got a black baseball cap on. It's backwards. I've got black sunglasses, and I have a Mario Kart racing shirt on, I think. So, um, yeah, this is actually a pretty stacked cast. This is Joseph Gordon-Levitt when he was a child actor, making his sort of like stamp and showing people I have charisma, I have on-screen presence. He stars here alongside Danny Glover and a host of other people. Also, Brenda Fricker has quite a big role, but we've got like random stars in the outfield. We've got Matthew McConaughey, we've got Adrian Brody, and notably we have Tony Danza. Tony Danza has a little bit bigger of a role, but he is also in this as well. And who else is in this? Dermot Mulroney is in this. J.O. Sanders. So there's quite a bit of people in this for a 90s Disney movie. This cast is pretty stacked. We've got a couple Oscar winners with Adrian Brody, Matthew McConaughey, Brenda Fricker. We have it's not bad. Like we're not doing too bad here. It's a remake. This was a much older movie. I actually caught it once on TCM, and I was like, "What? I didn't even realize this was a remake." I just thought this was one of those things like the Mighty Ducks, where they just wanted to like expand. Disney wanted to like expand and maybe find a way to like brand themselves to another team, so that that they had the Anaheim Mighty Ducks, and then somehow they would become known for the Angels as well. This did actually spawn sequels, which is why I find it kind of odd that it doesn't have audio description, is because there were more movies in this franchise. They were part of the Wonderful World of Disney, like Angels in the End Zone. I remember being in the Wonderful World of Disney, and I do believe that there's another one in the series, although I can't remember off the top of my head. They didn't go theatrical. This was the only one that went theatrical. It centers around a young boy played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt who is in temporary foster care. So just like short-term foster care. And he's there with JP, a younger little black boy, and Miguel, who I didn't even... I forgot there was like another kid that lived there. And then I forgot there was this whole scene where they're like, "Oh, I got Miguel this thing," and they're like, "Oh, Miguel's not here," and I was like, "Who the fuck is Miguel?" So, um, Yeah, Ed and Miguel. Uh, Pour one out for Miguel. Um, so his dad comes back, and his dad's a douchebag played by Dermot Mulroney, who has zero interest in being a father, and he sees his son, and he's like, I don't know, man. Uh, I love that he's just like nondescript interested. He's just like he's not like it's a kids movie, so there's like no real reason given as to like is he a drug addict? Does he want to have like a life of crime? Does he like screwing around? Does he not like kids? Like he never has like a reason that's given. He's just always just like, "Ah, I don't know. This isn't really for me. I don't like. I just don't want to be here. Like, but why? Anyway, we're never going to quantify that because this is a Disney movie, an actual Disney movie, not a Touchstone movie, which is why I'm holding Disney accountable for the lack of audio description because they've been putting it on like everything that has that. You know, da, 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 da. I figured I had to finish the whole thing at the beginning of the film. Yeah, so it has the little Disney castle thing at the beginning of this. I think it's also Morgan Creek is what it sounded like. Also co-produced this with them, but I didn't have audio descriptions. So fuck if I know. Um, Luckily, I've just seen this movie a bunch of times as a kid, and he his dad makes this statement to him. Joseph is like, when are we going to be a family again? And he's like, I don't know. When the Angels win the pennant? And the Angels are in like dead last, and they're a terrible team, and they're coached by Danny Glover. And on the Angels are some of the people I mentioned before: Tony Danza, Adrian Brody, Matthew McConaughey, all members of the Angels. J.O. Sanders plays the announcer in the box, who has actually quite a bit of screen time. Um, and the kids like to go to baseball games. They like to sit there and watch and watch the Angels. You know, I mean, they like to listen and they follow the Angels as their team, and I guess they live. It's like right down the street for them. Um, so they go there, and after hearing that, he makes a wish, and he's like, "Oh, can we help the Angels so that they can win the pennant so I can see my dad?" That kind of wish. And lo and behold, Angels appear in the, you guessed it, outfield. Christopher Lloyd comes in. He's the head angel. He's the one that actually interacts with Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Only Joseph can see him. And he sort of tells him the rules of the game. So basically, the only people who know Joseph can see the angel in the beginning are JP and Danny Glover. And then Christopher Lloyd comes in and he's like, oh, by the way, we like to not get credit for what we do, so don't tell anybody. You know, so Danny Glover was wondering like why, you know, certain things are happening, and he questions the kid, and the kid tells him, well, there was an angel with him. That's how, you know, this one dude makes this catch that's like impossible to make. And it starts this chain reaction of Danny Glover trying to go down the rabbit hole and be like, why does my team not suck anymore? And he thinks this kid may be at least a good luck charm or crazy or one of those two things, but he's going to find out. So he's going to put them in the audience and see how the season progresses. And throughout the course of the season, he sees various angels, and he flags down Danny Glover, and Danny always like questions himself. It's a question of faith. Oddly, a faith-based movie for Disney. When you think about it, I mean, it really is like prayer answered, actual angels materializing and helping people that lead to a really positive outcome in the end for the characters. this is Christian filmmaking without being Christian filmmaking. So, like, without actually, like, pandering and, like, being like, you can't get name actors involved in any of that kind of stuff. This is actually sending that message. This is really just like have faith is the is the message here. Very interesting. In 1994, it was just like a part of the kids movie, and it's just like, yeah, okay. Sometimes we used to do this, and it was before faith-based cinema became a thing, and then suddenly somebody started marketing faith-based cinema as like a thing, and Hollywood was like, well, I guess we don't need to make movies like Angels in the Outfield anymore. We were doing fine. Um, so yeah, it's a good movie, but it doesn't have audio description. So what do you miss? A lot. First of all, it's baseball. So I mean, I would say even though J.O. Sanders is technically the announcer for the game, he's more like a I don't know, uh, egotistical personality. He doesn't really offer anything that's play by play of the baseball games. He's not very helpful if you're trying to figure out what's happening on the field. Uh, it's you never get any of the saves. You never get to see any of the angels. You never get to hear that there's an angel or how they're floating or what it is they're doing. Luckily, Joseph Gordon-Levitt says a lot of it out loud. He's like, "Oh, over there with I don't know Martinez or whatever their name is. Oh, he's got an angel massaging his shoulders." It's like, thank you for the in-film audio description telling me what the angel's doing that I can't see. Um, so he has a couple of those instances. But again, I guess as a blind person, you could think he was crazy because again, you wouldn't be able to see it because the other angels don't speak. The only one that speaks is Christopher Lloyd. So is he seeing one angel or is he seeing more than one angels? Or angels, I guess. Obviously, it's Angels in the Outfield, but also the team is called the Angels, so they would be in the outfield anyway. It's very ambiguous if you can't see and have never seen this film before. Um, yes, you don't get to see how the Angels pull off each one of the moves, like the time the sound even kind of drops out too to help this batter who's supposedly like the worst batter on the team. He's a utility infielder, whatever that is. I guess it means he plays every position in the infield. But he, I wonder if that means like pitcher and catcher. Like, is that everything? Literally everything? Anyway, down a wormhole because I don't know enough about baseball. But uh, the pitch is thrown, and the batter has been touched by an angel, which was also a 90s TV series. And also very faith-based. And not made by faith-based groups. Everybody was doing fine in the 90s. They were just making stuff all the time. But this is his moment. He's like he's got two strikes already, and then on the third one, like the sound just drops out, and you don't get to see what the angel does to help him, but you get sort of like the reaction to the success of it, and it's like, okay, well, I don't feel like I'm a part of this movie as a blind person, but cool. I'm glad it worked out. So yeah, it's um nostalgically walking down this lane 30 years later is fun for me because again, I'm old enough. I used to be able to see, and I saw this movie as a kid. However, not everybody has that experience. So, and new children are born all the time, and their parents get them Disney Plus subscriptions. And Angels in the Outfield, I didn't even have to look for it. It was in the scroll up at the top. It was right there. It was like Marvel's Hit Monkey, and the second one over was Angels in the Outfield. I was like, well, thank you for being helpful, because that's a 30-year anniversary for Angels in the Outfield. Um, Yeah, I didn't even have to search for it. They made it really easy for me. It was right up at the top. Uh, and it just doesn't have audio description. And it's like, did you guys not know that you had a movie called Angels in the Outfield that you were eventually going to put on Disney Plus and you had plenty of time to produce audio description for it? Or do you wait? Because that seems to be like that seems to be a recurring theme that like Hulu does where they like drop a show and they're like, whoops, we forgot the audio description. Other services have done it too. It's not just Hulu. I you know I've seen Netflix has dropped movies mostly from Sony, and then Sony will come back a couple months later and they'll be like, oh shit, we forgot the audio description. My bad. Here you go. And it's like, do you guys not have calendars in like internally that let you know when movies are coming out, or is no one assigned to this to like to make sure that these files are uploaded correctly? Like, you guys want money from people and you want the most subscribers, but you're doing it in this like haphazard, backwards way of just not really like it's like, oh shit, we forgot that was being uploaded today. Oh damn, oh no, it didn't upload with the track. Oh, God, we got to go find the track now. Like, 'cause it's really just obnoxious. It's like a whole bunch of people I just assume are really terrible at their jobs because if these movies have audio description or should have audio description, then why don't they? Um, I think people were fully aware of the fact that they were going to add Angels in the Outfield to Disney Plus at some point, and they knew, and like I said, they have audio description on a lot of really just weird shit on Disney Plus. They have a lot of work to do in terms of their inherited Fox titles. Um, because Fox was making a lot of kids movies also during this time and a lot of hit movies, and they still have a lot of movies on Disney Plus that it's just like, why does this not have audio description? This was a huge hit, like Big. I'm like, why doesn't Big have audio description? You know, just everybody's just trying to do the bare minimum here. So I'm calling it out. I'm calling it out on Angels in the Outfield. You guys knew this movie was coming. It's a Disney movie. It's got the castle in front of it. It doesn't have audio description, and you can't see any of the angels, so the movie's kind of pointless. I know the story. I follow the story, but would I recommend this to somebody who'd never seen it before? No, I wouldn't, because I'd be like, well, it's like the ultimate test of faith. Have faith that there are angels in the outfield. You can't see them because you're blind. And there's no audio description to this film, but this film that's about this thing that only this one boy can see, you can't see either. So it's sort of like it's this like weird experience where it's like you're living the movie vicariously as another member in the audience. Ooh, I can't see the angels either, but that kid down there, he sees angels. It's like, well, I can't see anything else either. I can't see the players. I can't see them running. I can't see I don't know, the streets where they live in. I can't see the courtroom scene. I can't see, there's so many things that I can't see in this film. So, yeah, we do better. Disney, do better. Everybody needs to do better, which is why I call out every service that I subscribe to. That I subscribe to. I'm a subscriber. I'm your customer. I get to say this and I get to post this review. So, 30 Years of Angels in the Outfield. I like this movie. I think it's cheesy, but you know what? Joseph Gordon-Levitt is great in this. He is, and Danny Glover's nice, and it brings out a side of him that he gets to explore, the nice, warm and fuzzy side that works in a kids movie. Before he goes and does something like Operation Dumbo Drop. We'll find out if that has audio description. I think that it doesn't that have an anniversary next year? Heads up, Disney. I think Operation Dumbo Drop has an anniversary next year. But yeah, so unfortunately, I have to say Angels in the Outfield is unwatchable. But there's no real even point in me grading it because I'm grading it based on nostalgia, which has been a lot of these things. Is like I'm trying to plot like Iron Will. talked about Iron Will, which had audio description, by the way. Kudos. Um, and it's really hard to separate that part of me that is lifted when I watch the movie every single time. And I remember being a kid and actually legitimately thinking Iron Will was like an Oscar contender and not fully understanding what that meant at the time. And obviously, this I understood this is not an Oscar contender, but it's still fun. So, anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And I will see you guys on the other side.